part of emotional intelligence is also understanding that it's not what happens to us, but it's how we choose to handle it that defines us. And I have a couple of examples for you. It's interesting that in our society, we tend to admire people that had great adversity but chose to overcome it. And these are just a few examples. So Lance Armstrong, who's won the Tour de France many, many times, had cancer, but it was after he had cancer that he went on to win the Tour de France. Helen Keller became a very famous teacher, but she was born deaf and blind. Abraham Lincoln became a president of the United States, coming from an extremely poor family. And somebody like Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison before he became the first black president of South Africa. And what's interesting when you really look at who we admire, oftentimes it's not people that had an easy time of their life, but oftentimes it's people that had a hard time but overcame the adversity. And so when we have challenging times, it's really times for us to look inside and say, so who are we and what kind of a leader are we? Perception is also a choice. And there's a small poem that demonstrates this. There were two prisoners behind bars. One looked at the mud, the other the stars. Oftentimes we'll perceive life in a certain way and it won't feel like a choice. But there's actually several ways that we can perceive things. And it really depends on where we look, which is where what the poem points to, is that we can make a conscious choice about how we perceive an event without being in denial.